My beloved child, listen carefully. This is not a coincidence. This is not random. And this is not something you clicked on by accident. The moment you saw these words, final warning, God says, someone is watching your house. This is not a drill. Something shocking will happen tonight, and if you ignore this, it will be too late. Open this immediately before it's too late. Don't skip God today. Your spirit felt a shift, because heaven does not interrupt without reason. Right now, as you are listening, there is activity in the spiritual realm around your home. You may think everything looks normal. The walls are standing. The doors are locked. The lights are off or maybe glowing softly. But what you cannot see with your natural eyes is what concerns heaven. And that is why this message had to reach you today. Archangel Michael stands as a warrior over the houses of the chosen. He does not move without command, and he does not issue warnings lightly. When there is a message like this, it is because something has been detected, something subtle, something strategic, something that thought it could go unnoticed. Someone is watching your house. Now breathe. This is not meant to cause fear. This is meant to awaken you. There are moments when God allows a glimpse behind the curtain, not to scare you but to prepare you. And tonight is one of those moments. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange tension lately. That sense that something is off. Small disturbances. Unusual thoughts. A feeling like your peace has been under quiet attack. This is the confirmation. There is a presence of observation. It may not be physical eyes from a distance. It may be spiritual surveillance, jealousy, envy, monitoring spirits, whispering intentions, plans forming in the dark that were never meant to reach your doorstep. But here is the shocking part. It was allowed to be seen. Heaven revealed it before it could execute anything. And that changes everything. Because when God exposes something, it loses power. Archangel Michael hath been assigned to stand guard at your gates. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, the sword of protection is not symbolic, it is active. There is a shield around your home that you did not even know was forming. Yet this message is urgent for a reason. Something shocking will attempt to manifest tonight. It may come as unexpected news. It may come as a strange noise. It may come as a sudden emotional wave. It may even come as a dream. But listen closely. It is a test of awareness. If ignored, it could escalate. If recognized, it will dissolve. God is not warning you because you are vulnerable. He is warning you because you are valuable. The enemy does not monitor empty houses. It watches what carries destiny. It studies what carries calling. And your home is not ordinary. There are pairs in this wall. There are future blessings attached to that address. There are breakthroughs incubating inside your space. And that is why attention has been drawn to it. But here is the divine twist. The watcher hath been watched. Before anything could happen, heaven responded. Archangel Michael has already stepped forward. The perimeter has already shifted. Reinforcements are not coming. They are present. However, awareness activates alignment. This is why you were told not to skip God today. Because sometimes the difference between delay and disaster is attention. You may have been distracted recently. Busy, tired, emotionally overwhelmed. And that is exactly when subtle attacks try to slip in. But tonight will not unfold the way the enemy expected. Because you are awake now. I need you to understand something deeply. This warning is not about panic. It is about positioning. When God says final warning, it means the window to respond is open, but not forever. There is something you must do tonight. Not something dramatic, not something extreme, but something intentional. Pray over your house. Walk through each room if you can. Speak peace. Declare protection. Invite the presence of God consciously into every corner. If you cannot physically move, then spiritually declare it from where you are. Archangel Michael responds to spoken authority aligned with heaven. Your words matter tonight. Because something shocking was scheduled, but schedules can be canceled. And heaven has given you the authority to cancel it. The watcher expected silence. Instead, it will encounter declaration. The plan expected ignorance. Instead, it met awareness. And this is why this message found you before midnight. There are some of you listening who almost scrolled past. You almost dismissed this as exaggeration. But something inside told you to stay. That inner nudge. That was protection. Do not ignore that instinct again. Tonight is not ordinary. But neither are you. The reason this feels intense is because breakthrough often arrives disguised as confrontation. When darkness realizes it cannot proceed, it reacts. So if something unusual tries to stir later, do not fear. Recognize it. Speak over it. Stand firm. Archangel Michael does not retreat. And neither will you. This is the final warning before exposure. This is the alert before interruption. This is the mercy before manifestation. Your house will not be overtaken. Your peace will not be stolen. Your destiny will not be delayed. But your participation matters. Stay spiritually alert. Stay grounded. Stay aligned. Because what was meant to shock you will instead shock the one who thought you were unguarded. And when morning comes, you will realize something powerful. The danger passed. The plan failed. The house remained covered. And you will know that heaven intervened because you listened. Chosen one, do not relax just yet. What I am about to reveal will explain why this warning feels heavier than usual. The atmosphere around your house did not shift overnight. This has been building quietly for days, maybe even weeks. There has been silent observation, not just of your property, but of your patterns, your routines, your moments of vulnerability, the times when you felt tired and spiritually distant, the moments when you questioned your calling. That is when the monitoring intensified. But here is what they did not calculate. They did not calculate that God would interrupt the pattern. They did not calculate that Archangel Michael would be dispatched specifically to your address. Not symbolically, not metaphorically, strategically. There are spiritual assignments that guard cities, and then there are assignments that guard individuals. Tonight, this is personal. The sword is drawn not because you are weak, but because you are marked for something greater. You may be asking, what exactly is supposed to happen tonight? Listen carefully. The shock is not random chaos. It is exposure. Something hidden will attempt to surface. It may be a truth you were not prepared to face. It may be a message. It may be an attempt to disturb your peace. It may even be a sudden realization about someone you trusted. The watcher does not always stand outside your gate. Sometimes the watcher stands within your circle. This is why discernment is critical. God is not trying to scare you. He is preparing you to recognize the moment when it arrives. Because if you misinterpret it, you could respond emotionally instead of spiritually. And that is what the enemy wants, reaction instead of revelation. Archangel Michael stands firm because he operates in clarity. There is no confusion in heaven right now about your situation. The only place confusion tries to enter is your mind. A sudden wave of doubt, an irrational fear, an unexpected tension. These are signals, not conclusions. You must not allow imagination to outrun faith tonight. Instead, anchor yourself. Speak calmly. Pray intentionally. Observe without panic. Because the shocking moment is designed to test your awareness, not overpower your authority. And I need you to understand something else. The reason this message feels urgent is because delay would have been dangerous. If you ignored the nudge today, you might have walked into the moment unprepared. But now you are positioned differently. Now you are listening with alertness. Now your house is not just a structure, it is a declared sanctuary. This is the difference between being surprised and being strengthened. There are some of you who have sensed that someone has been studying your progress, watching your growth, not celebrating it, but analyzing it. That is not your imagination. When favor increases, observation increases. When blessing multiplies, attention follows. But here is the divine reversal. The one watching did not realize they were being recorded by heaven. Every intention hath been logged. Every whisper had been heard. Every plan has already been examined. And nothing moves forward without permission. Tonight is not about losing something. It is about preventing something. It is about stopping what thought it was inevitable. And this is why your response matters right now. If this message is stirring something in your spirit, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so that the algorithm pushes this warning to someone else who needs it. Share it with at least one person whose house also needs covering tonight. Comment "My house is covered" as a declaration, not just a sentence. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because these alerts are not random uploads, they are timed messages. And if you feel led, join the membership community where deeper spiritual insights are shared for those who are serious about staying guarded. Your engagement is not about numbers. It is about alignment. When you interact, you activate agreement. And agreement strengthens protection. There is something else you need to know before this night unfolds further. The shocking event may not look dramatic. Sometimes the enemy prefers subtlety. A strange knock that turns out to be nothing. A sudden emotional surge that tries to disrupt your rest. A call that brings unsettling information. But when you are spiritually aware, even subtlety loses its power. Because you will recognize it immediately. And when you recognize it, you will respond correctly. Archangel Michael does not need you to fight in panic. He needs you to stand in authority. There is a difference. Panic reacts. Authority declares. Night, declare. Declare that your house is sealed. Declare that no unauthorized presence has access. Declare that every hidden plan dissolves before it reaches your door. Speak it calmly. Speak it confidently. Speak it as someone who knows heaven has already moved. And remember this. The fact that you received a warning means you were never meant to be caught off guard. Something is shifting. Something is about to attempt exposure. But what was meant to shock you will instead confirm how protected you truly are. Hold on, because what unfolds next will reveal why this warning was labeled final. Faithful one, the atmosphere has already begun to respond to your awareness. The moment you acknowledged this warning, something shifted in the unseen realm. What was quietly circling your house felt resistance. What was studying your movements encountered light. And light changes behavior. Darkness is bold when it believes no one sees it. But when heaven exposes it, it retreats, recalculates, and sometimes attempts one last move before surrender. This is where you are right now. The reason this was called a file warning is because the window for interference is closing. There was a narrow opportunity for something to disrupt your peace tonight. A misunderstanding that could have escalated. An emotional trigger that could have opened a door. A distraction that could have shifted your focus at the wrong moment. But that window is narrowing because you are no longer unaware. Archangel Michael does not just defend. He enforces divine boundaries. And tonight, a boundary had been drawn around your property line, around your doors, around your windows, around your sleep. There is a line that cannot be crossed. But here is the deeper truth you must understand. Protection is strongest when agreement is spoken. Silence creates space. Declaration fills it. This is why you were prompted to pray over your house, not as a ritual of fear, but as an act of authority. When you walk through your space and speak peace, you are not performing a habit. You are aligning with a command already released from heaven. You are agreeing with what Archangel Michael is enforcing. And something else is about to be exposed. The watcher is not only external. There hath been a spirit of observation connected to comparison. Someone who has quietly measured your progress. Someone who has noticed your growth and felt unsettled by it. This is not about paranoia. It is about discernment. The shock tonight may not be a loud event. It may be the sudden realization of who has not truly been celebrating you. But do not let that realization turn into bitterness. Exposure is not given so you can react in anger. It is given so you can reposition in wisdom. Archangel Michael's presence is not emotional. He is strategic. He does not chase every whisper. He addresses the source. And the source behind this watching has already been identified. That is why this message came before midnight. That is why the timing feels urgent. There was an attempt to drain your peace slowly, to create small disturbances that would weaken your spiritual alertness. But instead of weakening, you became aware. Instead of drifting, you tuned in. Instead of ignoring, you listened. And now the attempt is collapsing. You may feel a sudden calm later tonight, or you may sense a brief resistance before sleep. Do not interpret resistance as failure. Sometimes resistance is the sign that a plan is being blocked. When something cannot move forward, it pushes back once. But it does not succeed, because heaven has already ruled. The final warning was mercy. It was God saying, I will not let this reach you without notice. It was Archangel Michael stepping forward and saying, this house is under command. It was a divine interruption to prevent unnecessary impact. And here is what makes this moment powerful. You responded. There are many who ignore warnings, many who scroll past, many who dismiss spiritual nudges as coincidence. But you stayed. You listened. You aligned. The decision changed the outcome. Tonight will not end in chaos. It will end in confirmation. You will wake up realizing that something subtle was stopped. Something quiet was dissolved. Something that could have escalated never reached its peak. That is how divine protection works. It prevents what you never fully see. But remember this always. Awareness is a gift. When God speaks, it is because He values you enough to prepare you. And now, before this moment closes, seal it with agreement. Type "My house is sealed" in the comments if this message confirms what you have been sensing. Lesson code 444 is now activated over your home. This number represents divine protection, angelic alignment, and structural stability. As you declare it, you are not chasing safety, you are affirming it. As this revelation settles into your spirit, understand that this message is not just about one house. It is about many homes that need light. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding content. You are strengthening a watchtower. Scripture declares, "I will command my angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." This is not ancient history. This is a living promise spoken over those who align with His voice. When you give, you are sowing oil into a lamp that refuses to go out. You are helping warnings reach ears before midnight strikes. You are becoming part of the shield that covers families who almost miss their alert. I believe some of you feel it right now, a stirring that says, "I am meant to be part of this protection." That stirring is not pressure. It is invitation. Tonight's theme was urgency, and obedience must match urgency. Do not delay when your spirit is prompted. So, as a prophetic act, join the membership as a covenant step. Release your super thanks as a declaration that light must continue spreading. Use the PayPal link below if that is your path of obedience. As you give, may your house never lack oil. May your doors remain guarded. May your harvest multiply because you chose to plant in fertile ground. This is not a suggestion. This is your moment to act. Steady your heart now, because what is unfolding is deeper than a single night. The warning was urgent, yes, but the lesson is eternal. What tried to observe your house was not just searching for a moment of entry. It was studying patterns. It was waiting for spiritual fatigue. It was hoping for distraction. And this is where many people misunderstand spiritual warfare. It is rarely loud at first. It begins with subtle monitoring, quiet pressure, gradual unease. But your awareness interrupted the pattern. The moment you declared your house sealed, the atmosphere shifted from passive defense to active authority. Archangel Michael does not simply hover. He establishes order. And when order is established, confusion cannot reign. You may begin to notice something interesting over the next few hours. A clarity of thought. A calmness that feels unusual. Or perhaps the opposite, a brief attempt of restlessness before everything settles. Do not misinterpret either reaction. When darkness loses access, it either withdraws quietly or reacts briefly. But it cannot sustain itself where light is invited intentionally. The real shock tonight is not destruction. It is revelation. There has been something hidden in plain sight around your life. Not necessarily a physical person standing outside your window, but a presence of scrutiny connected to your progress. Your growth has been visible. Your favor has been noticeable. Even when you doubted yourself, heaven saw advancement. And when advancement increases, opposition studies it. This is why the message was labeled as final. Not because disaster was guaranteed, but because the opportunity for interference was reaching its expiration. You were seconds away from dismissing a spiritual nudge. Seconds away from ignoring a subtle discomfort. Seconds away from saying, "It's probably nothing." But it was something. Not something powerful, but something strategic. Archangel Michael stepped in before strategy could become action. Understand this deeply. Your house is more than walls. It represents stability. It represents your private space. It represents the environment where your next breakthrough is forming. And anything that carries breakthrough attracts observation. But observation does not equal victory. The one watching did not account for divine interruption. They did not account for your sudden alertness. They did not account for angelic reinforcement. And now the script has flipped. Instead of your house being analyzed, the source of analysis is being exposed. There is an unraveling happening behind the scenes. Motives are being revealed. Intentions are being clarified. and you may soon receive subtle confirmation in the natural realm, a comment that slips, a behavior that shifts, an energy that changes around someone. Do not react emotionally when it happens. Simply recognize it, because tonight is not about confrontation. It is about confirmation. There is a powerful difference between being protected and knowing you are protected. When you know, you move differently. You sleep differently. You speak differently. Fear loses its grip because certainty replaces it. Archangel Michael's presence is not temporary. It is purposeful. The assignment was not to visit your house for a moment, but to establish a perimeter until this cycle passes completely. And cycles do pass. The tension you felt recently was part of a closing chapter. The sense of being watched was part of a transition. The spiritual alert was the signal that the season of quiet interference is ending. You are entering a season of visible favor. And whenever favor increases, exposure happens first. Hidden envy is revealed. Hidden intentions surface. Hidden observers become uncomfortable. That discomfort is not your burden. Your responsibility is alignment. Keep your house spiritually clean. Keep your words intentional. Keep your prayers consistent. Not out of fear, but out of partnership. When heaven moves, agreement strengthens the outcome. There is something else you must understand tonight. The reason this felt urgent is because your destiny is accelerating. Acceleration requires protection. When something is about to move faster, it must be guarded more carefully. And acceleration is coming. You may not see it fully yet, but doors are aligning. Conversations are shifting. Opportunities are forming. And the enemy sensed it before you did. That is why observation increased. That is why subtle pressure tried to intensify. But pressure without permission collapses. The shocking event that was hinted at earlier may manifest as sudden clarity rather than chaos. You may realize who has truly been for you. You may recognize who has quietly been against you. You may see patterns that were previously blurred. But clarity is the breakthrough. And once clarity arrives, vulnerability decreases. Tonight is not about losing sleep. It is about gaining discernment. As the hours move forward, maintain calm authority. If you hear something unusual, speak peace. If a thought tries to provoke fear, counter it with truth. If restlessness attempts to rise, remind yourself that protection has already been assigned. Archangel Michael does not fail assignments, and your house is not unguarded. What was meant to escalate hath been intercepted. What was meant to disturb has been dissolved. What was meant to surprise you has been reversed. This is not drama. This is divine timing. The final warning was not announcing disaster. It was announcing interruption. An interruption is often the beginning of elevation. Stay steady. Stay aware. Stay aligned. Because the next phase will reveal why this house was worth guarding so intensely. Listen closely now, because what you are stepping into is the aftermath of prevention. Many people celebrate miracles that rescue them after disaster strikes. But few recognize the greater miracle, the disaster that never happened. Tonight, you are living inside that greater miracle. Something was forming. Something was aligning quietly. And yet, because you responded to the warning, it dissolved before manifestation. This is how divine strategy works. Archangel Michael did not arrive in panic. He arrived with authority already granted. There was no emergency meeting in heaven. There was no scrambling response. The protection over your house was pre-approved because your destiny required it. That is why this feels different. It was not a reaction to danger. It was a reinforcement before impact. And here is what makes this moment powerful. The presence that was watching expected you to remain unaware. It expected routine. It expected distraction. It expected emotional vulnerability. But instead, he encountered alertness. It encountered prayer. It encountered spoken declaration. And when declaration fills a house, intrusion loses its footing. You may not fully understand how close something was to unfolding differently. There was a conversation that could have escalated, a misunderstanding that could have created division, a sudden wave of anxiety that could have disrupted your rest and affected your decisions tomorrow. Small shifts can create large consequences, but heaven intervened at the root. This is why awareness is sacred. There are some listening who have been feeling unusually tired lately, not physically exhausted alone, but spiritually drained. That was not random. Observation often attempts to weaken before it strikes. If it can reduce your alertness, it increases its access. But you were pulled back into awareness just in time. Now something important is happening. The cycle of silent pressure is breaking. You may notice in the coming days that the heaviness lifts. Conversations feel lighter. Your home feels calmer. Sleep becomes deeper. This is not imagination. This is the result of blocked interference. When something stops pressing against your space, peace expands naturally. But do not forget the lesson. Protection is not a one-time event. It is a maintained alignment. Archangel Michael stands guard, but your agreement keeps the gates sealed. Continue speaking life inside your home. Continue creating an atmosphere where negativity feels uncomfortable. Continue inviting the presence of God intentionally, not occasionally, because your house carries purpose. There is something significant attached to your address. A calling forming, a breakthrough incubating, a new chapter waiting to unfold. And the enemy sensed it early. That is why the watching intensified. But sensing is not seizing. Observation does not equal ownership. You belong under divine authority. And tonight confirm that authority is active. The shock that was predicted earlier may manifest as realization rather than chaos. You may suddenly understand why certain tensions existed, why certain people acted strangely, why certain delays occurred. Sometimes the shocking event is clarity itself. When clarity arrives, confusion dissolves instantly. Do not underestimate clarity. Clarity protects more than walls do. You are also being trained through this experience. Trained to recognize subtle shifts. Trained to respond quickly to spiritual nudges. Trained to trust that when something feels urgent in your spirit, it deserves attention. This training will matter in your next season. Because acceleration is still coming. The protection over your house tonight is connected to future movement. You cannot step into expansion while carrying unseen interference. So heaven cleared it first. Think about that. Before promotion, there was protection. Before elevation, there was elimination. Archangel Michael's assignment was not only defense. It was preparation. Preparation for growth. Preparation for increase. Preparation for visible favor. You may begin to notice that certain distractions fall away naturally. Certain connections drift quietly. Certain patterns lose their grip. That is not loss. That is pruning. And pruning always precedes fruitfulness. Your house will not only be safe, it will be blessed. There will be laughter in rooms that recently felt tense. There will be creativity where there was fatigue. There will be plans forming where uncertainty once lingered, because what tried to observe you has been dismissed. And here is something you must anchor in your spirit. You are not paranoid. You are perceptive. There is a difference. Paranoia creates fear without evidence. Discernment senses shifts before evidence appears. What you felt recently was discernment stirring, and now it hath been validated. Let this strengthen your confidence moving forward. When your spirit nudges you again, listen. When peace feels disturbed without explanation, investigate through prayer. When something feels off, do not dismiss it casually, but also do not live in suspicion. Live in awareness balanced with trust. Archangel Michael's presence over your house is not meant to create anxiety. It is meant to create assurance. The warrior stands so you can rest. The guard remains alert so you do not have to panic. Tonight will close peacefully. The shocking event has lost momentum. The watcher has been identified. The plan hath been intercepted. And what remains is a house covered in calm authority. As you move forward from this night, carry the memory of this intervention. Not as fear of what almost happened, but as confidence in who guards you. Because if heaven intervened before impact once, it can do it again. And it will. Do not mistake the calm you feel right now for the end of the lesson. What happened tonight was protection. Yes, but it was also revelation about the level you are stepping into. When spiritual resistance increases, it is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence of movement. And movement attracts attention. The reason someone was watching your house was not because you are fragile. It was because you are advancing. There is a difference. Advancement threatens stagnation. Growth unsettles those who remain comfortable. Favor disturbs those who rely on control. And when your life begins to shift into a higher alignment, observation intensifies. Not because it can stop you, but because it hopes to slow you. But slowing is no longer permitted. Archangel Michael's assignment over your house was a declaration that delay has reached its limit. The cycle of subtle interference has expired. The quiet pressure that tried to linger around your space has been confronted. And now there is something else unfolding behind the scenes. Umo. You may not see dramatic change tomorrow morning, but internally, something has accelerated. Confidence will rise. Discernment will sharpen. Decisions will feel clearer. You will move with less hesitation. That is not coincidence. That is the result of block resistance. When interference is removed, clarity increases naturally, and clarity fuels boldness. There is also something important you must understand about the watcher. Not every observer carries power. Some only carry curiosity mixed with envy. They watch because they cannot replicate what they see. They analyze because they do not understand the source of your favor. But envy cannot override divine protection. Archangel Michael does not negotiate with jealousy. He enforces boundaries. This is why you must not allow your focus to drift toward who was watching. Your assignment is not to investigate people. Your assignment is to remain aligned. The moment you become consumed with identifying the observer, you risk losing the peace you just regained. Stay centered. The greater shift is not outside your house. It is inside you. There was a time when something like this would have created anxiety in you. You would have spiraled into overthinking. You would have imagined worst-case scenarios. But look at you now. You are calm. You are steady. You are listening with authority instead of fear. That growth matters. It proves that your spiritual maturity has increased. And maturity changes outcomes. Tonight did not end in chaos because you no longer respond like you used to. You responded with awareness. You responded with prayer. You responded with declaration. and that response sealed the outcome. And now hear this carefully. The next season requires consistency. Do not let tonight be the only time you intentionally cover your house in prayer. Do not let urgency be your only motivator for alignment. Build rhythm. Build habit. Build atmosphere. When a house is consistently filled with intentional peace, intrusion does not linger. Archangel Michael stands guard, but rhythm sustains the covering. There are also others who need to hear this message, not because they are in danger, but because they are unaware. If this has strengthened you, then let it strengthen someone else. Like this video so it reaches more homes. Share it with someone who has been feeling unexplained tension lately. Comment what shifted in your spirit tonight so others can see they are not alone. Subscribe if you are serious about staying spiritually alert, because these messages are not random uploads. They are timed reinforcements. And if you want deeper access to teachings that build long-term protection and discernment, join the membership community. Alignment grows stronger when community surrounds it. What is coming next in your life will require this level of awareness. There are doors preparing to open, conversations aligning, opportunities positioning themselves closer than you think. And before doors open, opposition often tries one last quiet look. That look has already been addressed. You will notice that distractions begin to lose their grip. Things that once pulled your focus will seem less important. You will feel drawn toward discipline, clarity, and intentional decisions. This is the sign that you are stepping into acceleration. Acceleration requires alertness, but it does not require fear. You are not under threat. You are under protection. The narrative has shifted. Instead of wondering who is watching your house, you will begin to see who is supporting your growth. Instead of sensing tension, you will sense expansion. Instead of reacting to pressure, you will move with confidence. Archangel Michael's presence was not only about defense, it was about announcing transition. Transition from vulnerability to authority. Transition from subtle pressure to visible progress. Transition from being watched to being elevated. And elevation changes perspective. You will look back at this moment and realize that it marked a turning point. The night something was supposed to happen became the night something was prevented. The night fear could have entered became the night faith solidified. Hold that understanding close, because what unfolds next will reveal how necessary this interruption truly was. Trust me, the deeper layer of this shift is about to come into focus. There is something you are only beginning to understand. The warning was never just about someone watching your house. It was about revealing how close you are to stepping into a new dimension of favor. Observation increases before elevation. Surveillance intensifies before promotion. Not because promotion can be stopped, but because it can be delayed if you become distracted. And distraction was the real target. The subtle tension around your home was meant to divide your focus. If your mind became consumed with anxiety, you would lose sharpness. If your peace became unstable, your decisions would weaken. But that did not happen. Instead of spiraling, you stabilized. Instead of reacting emotionally, you responded spiritually. That shift disarmed the strategy. Archangel Michael's presence was not symbolic reassurance. It was enforcement. The perimeter around your life tightened because acceleration is approaching. And acceleration cannot coexist with unchecked interference. Before speed increases, stability must be secure. That is what this night accomplished. You may begin noticing subtle confirmations in the natural realm. A person who once acted distant may suddenly reveal their true posture. A situation that felt confusing may suddenly clarify. A door that seems tall may show signs of movement. These are not random improvements. They are signs that obstruction has been removed. When obstruction is removed, flow returns. And flow feels different. It feels lighter. Decisions become easier. Conversations feel aligned. You stop second-guessing yourself. That is not coincidence. That is the absence of hidden resistance. The watcher believed they were studying your patterns quietly, but they underestimated something critical. They underestimated your connection to divine insight. They assumed you would dismiss your intuition. They assumed you would ignore the nudge, but you did not, and then changed the trajectory. There is also a deeper truth unfolding here. Not everyone who watches intends harm in obvious ways. Some watch because they are unsettled by what they cannot control. Some watch because your growth highlights their stagnation. Some watch because your peace confronts their inner chaos. But regardless of motive, observation without permission cannot penetrate protection. Archangel Michael stands not only against obvious threats but against subtle energy shifts. You may have felt it as heaviness, a room that felt slightly tense, a mood that changed without explanation. Those were signals, and now those signals are fading. Pay attention to the contrast. Notice how the atmosphere inside your home feels compared to a few days ago. Notice how your thoughts feel compared to before you received this warning. That contrast is evidence. It confirms that something real was interrupted. But do not let relief create complacency. The lesson here is awareness, not alarm. You are being refined in discernment. Discernment is not suspicion. It is clarity without fear. It allows you to sense shifts without losing peace. It allows you to respond without overreacting. It anchors you while remaining alert. That maturity is part of your elevation. Because where you are going, you cannot afford emotional impulsiveness. Where you are headed, stability matters. Doors are opening that require calm authority. Opportunities are aligning that require steady confidence. And this experience trained you in both. The shocking event that was mentioned earlier may reveal itself in a surprising way. Not as chaos, but as exposure. You may discover that someone's intentions were not aligned with your progress. You may realize that certain delays were intentional. You may see clearly who has been silently rooting against you. When that realization comes, do not respond with anger. Respond with gratitude for exposure. Exposure is protection in disguise. Once something is seen clearly, it loses its hidden advantage. And once advantage is lost, influence fades. Archangel Michael's role in this was decisive. The sword was not raised for display. It was raised to declare, this far and no further. The declaration echoes beyond tonight. It establishes a standard. Your life is not accessible without resistance. That standard will follow you into your next season. And your next season is not small. There are conversations preparing to take place that will shift your direction. There are connections forming that will support your calling. There are ideas incubating that will require courage to execute. All of this was sensed in advance. That is why observation increased. But observation failed. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into clarity. You are not moving toward danger. You are moving toward distinction. The night that was supposed to carry shock has instead carried strengthening. And strengthening creates readiness. As this phase concludes, carry the awareness forward. Keep your house spiritually intentional. Keep your words aligned. Keep your discernment active but peaceful. Because what was attempted quietly have been silenced completely. And what is rising in your life next will make it clear why the guard had to stand so firmly at your door. Pay attention to this turning point, because what is happening now is not just recovery from a prevented threat. It is repositioning. There is a shift occurring in the spiritual atmosphere around your house that goes beyond defense. The guard that stood firm is not withdrawing, but the posture is changing. What was once a stance of protection is becoming a stance of preparation. This is the part many people miss. They think the warning was only about stopping something negative. But the deeper layer is about making room for something greater. When interference is cleared, space opens. And when space opens, increase has somewhere to land. Archangel Michael does not stand guard over emptiness. He stands guard over purpose. And your house carries purpose. There are ideas forming within those walls that have not yet been spoken. There are prayers whispered in quiet rooms that have not yet manifested. There are dreams attached to that address that require stability before they unfold. The observation you felt earlier was not random curiosity. It was resistance reacting to your proximity to breakthrough. Breakthrough was closer than you realized. Sometimes when breakthrough approaches, the last attempt of interference feels intense. Not because it is powerful, but because it knows its time is short. What you sensed was the final effort of a fading strategy. And when heaven labeled it a final warning, it meant the expiration date had arrived. Now the expiration has passed. Notice the shift in your internal atmosphere. There is a steadiness replacing tension. There is confidence replacing unease. There is clarity replacing fog. This is not emotional fluctuation. This is the result of cleared resistance. But the next phase requires intention. Protection was activated through awareness. Increase will be activated through alignment. You must guard not only your house but your thoughts. The enemy may not approach your doors again immediately, but it may attempt to revisit your mind with doubt. It may whisper, maybe it was nothing. Maybe you overreacted. That whisper is a final attempt to weaken your confidence. Do not entertain it. What you felt was real. What shifted was real. What was intercepted was real. And now the focus changes. Instead of looking outward for watchers, begin looking forward for opportunities. Instead of scanning for threats, begin preparing for growth. Because growth is the real reason this night mattered. There is something significant about to unfold connected to your home environment. It may involve new opportunities, new responsibilities, or new influence. The reason your house was guarded so intensely is because it is becoming a launching point. A launching point for expansion. A launching point for visibility. A launching point for impact. Archangel Michael's assignment over your home signals that what happens within those walls will affect more than just you. Conversations that take place there will carry weight. Decisions made there will create ripple effects. The stability of your house is tied to the stability of your next chapter. This is why the perimeter was secured first. You cannot build on unstable ground, and heaven does not promote without preparation. The shocking event that was predicted has now transformed into shocking clarity. You may soon realize that what you feared was never meant to harm you. It was meant to reveal your level of coverage. Sometimes the most powerful shock is discovering how protected you truly are. Let that realization sink in. You are not navigating life alone. You are not exposed without reinforcement. You are not vulnerable without defense. There is angelic order surrounding your steps. And now that order shifts from defense to direction. You will feel nudges in the coming days. Ideas will surface suddenly. Conversations will align unexpectedly. Do not dismiss these as coincidence. They are part of the same intervention that protected your house. Protection and promotion often arrive together, but remain humble, remain grounded, remain prayerful, because increase without alignment creates imbalance. Tonight's warning train you in alertness. Tomorrow's opportunities will test your obedience. Before we move forward, seal this moment with declaration. Type "My house is prepared for increase" in the comments if you receive this shift. Blessing code 818 is now released over your home. This number represents new beginnings stabilized by divine order. As you declare it, you are aligning your environment with the next level assigned to you. As this transition unfolds, understand that what is happening here is bigger than one message. Light is reaching homes at critical moments. Warnings are arriving before impact. Clarity is replacing confusion for people who were on the edge of unnecessary battles. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a lighthouse. Scripture declares, "Rise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That is not poetry. That is a command spoken over those who carry light into dark places. When you give, you are pouring oil into that lamp so it never runs dry. You are helping messages reach someone minutes before their midnight moment. I sense some of you feel the stirring right now. A quiet conviction that says, "I am meant to build this altar of light." The conviction is holy urgency. Do not ignore it. So, as a prophetic act, join the membership as a covenant step. Release your super thanks as a declaration that light must continue to rise. Use the PayPal link below if that is your assigned seed. As you give, may your house overflow with provision. May your gates remain guarded. May your next season accelerate without obstruction. This is your moment to act with bold obedience. There is a stillness settling over your house now, and it is not ordinary silence. It is the kind of stillness that follows a secured victory. Not loud celebration, not dramatic display, but quiet confirmation. Something that attempted to circle your environment has lost access completely. And when access is denied in the spiritual realm, peace returns in the natural one. This is where you are standing. But do not mistake this calm as the end of the story. It is the beginning of alignment at a higher level. The reason this experience was allowed to unfold the way it did is because you are being trusted with greater influence. Protection increases when responsibility increases, and responsibility is approaching. Archangel Michael's assignment over your house was not temporary emergency coverage. It was strategic positioning before expansion. Now that the interference has been exposed and dismissed, your focus must shift toward stewardship. What are you building within those walls? What atmosphere are you cultivating daily? What conversations are shaping your future inside that space? These questions matter because your house is becoming more than a private refuge. It is becoming a foundation. Foundations determine the strength of what is built on top of them. And heaven secures foundations before adding weight. There was a time when you would have interpreted this warning as fear-based. But now you see it differently. You understand that it was mercy. You recognize that it was preparation. That recognition signals growth. Growth changes how you perceive challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you are beginning to ask, "What is this preparing me for?" That shift in perspective is powerful. It means you are no longer reactive. You are becoming intentional. The watcher that once studied your environment has faded into irrelevance. The energy of scrutiny has dissolved. You may even sense that certain people feel distant now, not because you pushed them away, but because alignment shifted naturally. When divine order establishes itself, misaligned influences lose comfort. You not chase what drifts. What leaves quietly was not meant to remain permanently. There is also a deeper layer unfolding. The reason someone was watching your house connects to something you carry internally. You possess discernment, resilience, and quiet strength. Not everyone understands it, but they sense it. And when people sense strength, they either align with it or analyze it. Analysis without alignment cannot penetrate protection. Archangel Michael's presence was a declaration that your inner strength is supported externally. Heaven does not reinforce what lacks purpose. It reinforces what carries assignment. And you carry assignment. In the coming days, you may notice opportunities approaching that require courage. Invitations to step forward. Moments where your voice needs to be heard. Situations where your calm authority stabilizes others. These are not random circumstances. They are the next layer of what this night was preparing you for. Because protection was never the final destination. Purposes. There is something you must guard carefully now. Not your doors, not your windows, but your mindset. When peace returns, complacency sometimes follows. But you are being called to consistency. Continue praying over your house even when nothing feels wrong. Continue speaking life even when no tension is present. Continue choosing clarity even when confusion is absent. Consistency sustains covering. You are also being reminded that spiritual awareness is not seasonal. It is lifestyle. The reason this warning reached you in time is because somewhere within you there is sensitivity to divine prompting. That sensitivity must be nurtured, not neglected. Archangel Michael stands firm, but your partnership activates flow. There is a rhythm forming now. You have moved through the first two. Now positioning takes center stage. Where will you direct your focus? What will you prioritize? How will you steward the peace that was secured for you? These decisions will determine the speed of your next elevation. The shocking event that was once anticipated has transformed into a strengthening moment. Instead of chaos, you gained clarity. Instead of fear, you gained faith. Instead of disturbance, you gained discernment. The transformation is significant. It proves that you are not easily shaken anymore. It proves that your house is not easily accessed. It proves that when heaven sends a warning, you respond. Carry that confidence forward. Because what lies ahead will require it. The atmosphere hath been cleansed. The perimeter hath been secured. The observer has been dismissed. Now the builder within you must rise. There are things you are meant to initiate. Projects you are meant to begin. Conversations you are meant to lead. And the stability of your house ensures that when you step outward, your base remains firm. This was not about fear. It was about fortification. And fortification precedes expansion. Prepare yourself, because the next shift will reveal how the secured foundation begins to support visible growth in ways you did not expect. Stand firm in this moment, because what you are stepping into now is the unveiling of why your house had to be guarded so intensely. The protection was not just about stopping something negative. It was about preserving something valuable that is about to emerge. There is movement forming beneath the surface of your life, and it required stability before it could surface safely. The stillness you feel now is not emptiness. It is readiness. Archangel Michael's assignment around your home signaled that a threshold was near. Thresholds are delicate moments. They mark the space between one season and another. And during transitions, resistance often attempts one final interruption. But that interruption has already been denied. And now you are crossing. You may begin noticing that ideas feel sharper. Your intuition feels clearer. Your decisions feel less clouded. That clarity is a gift secured by the protection you accepted. When interference is removed, direction becomes obvious. And direction is everything in a season of movement. There's something approaching that will require courage from you. Not reckless action, but confident obedience. You may be asked to step into visibility in a way you have not before. You may be prompted to initiate a conversation that shifts your path. You may feel an internal push toward expansion that feels slightly uncomfortable but undeniably right. Do not shrink back. The reason your house was watched is because your life is advancing beyond previous limitations. Advancement attracts attention, but it also attracts reinforcement. You are not moving alone. Archangel Michael does not guard stagnation. He guards transition points. And you are standing at one. However, there is a responsibility attached to crossing thresholds. You must remain spiritually alert even in peace. You must continue speaking life even when tension fades. You must guard your environment with consistency, not only urgency. Peace is not permission to become careless. It is confirmation that your alignment is working. You may also notice that certain relationships begin to shift subtly. Not in dramatic conflict, but in quiet distance. That is not rejection. That is refinement. As you step into a higher level of clarity, not everyone will resonate with your frequency. Some will drift naturally. Others will realign respectfully. Let it happen without resistance. You cannot carry everyone into a new season. A shocking event that once felt imminent has transformed into a revelation of protection. And that revelation is strengthening your confidence. You are beginning to understand that you are not as exposed as you once feared. You are more covered than you realized. That realization changes posture. Instead of moving cautiously out of fear, you will begin moving deliberately out of faith. Instead of hesitating because of what might happen, you will act because of what is being prepared. Here is momentum building quietly. You may sense it in your thoughts. You may see it in subtle opportunities. You may feel it in renewed motivation. That momentum is connected to the stability that was secured around your house. When your base is firm, your steps become bold. Do not ignore this phase. Engage with it intentionally. If this message has strengthened your discernment and shifted your perspective, let it extend beyond you. Like this video so others who are standing at similar thresholds can receive clarity. Share it with someone who has felt watched, unsettled, or uncertain lately. Comment what has changed inside you through this experience so the community can grow in awareness together. Subscribe if you are committed to staying spiritually alert in seasons of transition. And if you want to go deeper into understanding how to guard your environment and recognize divine timing, join the membership community where consistent guidance is shared. Because what unfolds next will require a community of steady voices, not isolated strength. You are entering a chapter where decisions will carry weight. Not heavy weight, but meaningful influence. Conversations will matter more. Choices will ripple further. And your calm authority will become a stabilizing force for others. Archangel Michael's presence over your house was a signal that your life is not small. It carries impact. And impact must be guarded. As you move forward, maintain gratitude for what was prevented. But do not live looking backward at the threat. Live looking forward at the opportunity. The watcher has faded. The tension has lifted. The perimeter is secured. Now the door of expansion stands before you. Cross it with confidence. Because the night that was meant to intimidate you has instead equipped you. And what you are about to step into will make it clear why interruption was necessary before elevation. Now you are beginning to see the full picture. What started as a warning about someone watching your house has unfolded into a revelation about who you are becoming. The watcher was never the focus. The becoming was. The alert was not simply about danger. It was about destiny drawing near and requiring reinforcement. There is a maturity rising within you. You no longer respond to spiritual tension with panic. You respond with positioning. You do not crumble under subtle pressure. You adjust, you declared, you align. That transformation did not happen overnight. It was built through moments like this, where awareness met obedience. Archangel Michael's presence around your home was not dramatic for spectacle. It was precise for purpose. There are levels in your life that demand fortified boundaries. As your influence expands, so must your covering. As your voice strengthens, so must your perimeter. You are stepping into influence whether you feel ready or not. Influence does not always mean a public platform. Sometimes it means becoming the stabilizer in your family. Sometimes it means becoming the decision maker in a crucial moment. Sometimes it means being the one others look to when confusion rises. That kind of influence requires inner clarity and outer protection. That is why this night mattered. You were shown what awareness feels like. You experienced what divine interruption looks like. You witnessed how quickly tension dissolves when alignment increases. These are not small lessons. They are foundational experiences for where you are headed. There will be future moments when you sense a shift again. But instead of fear, you will remember this night. You will remember how the atmosphere changed once you responded. You will remember how peace returned once you declared authority. And that memory will strengthen your reaction next time. Because there will be next times. Not threats but transitions. Not watchers but opportunities. Not tension but tests of obedience. Every level carries its own form of resistance. But resistance loses power when it is anticipated and addressed early. That is what happened here. Something attempted to linger quietly. But it was noticed. And because it was noticed, it could not grow. The pattern will continue. You are learning to intercept early. You are learning to respond quickly. You are learning to trust the nudge. This growth will spill into other areas of your life. Your decisions will become sharper. Your boundaries clearer. Your priorities more defined. You will stop entertaining distractions that once seemed harmless. You will stop tolerating environments that disturb your peace. You will recognize misalignment faster. That is elevation in action. The house that was once under observation is now under confirmation. Confirmation that it carries purpose. Confirmation that it holds preparation. Confirmation that it is not random shelter but intentional ground. You may begin to feel called to strengthen your physical space as well. Organize it. Clean it. Rearrange it. Not out of anxiety but out of renewal. When internal shifts happen, external spaces often follow. Honor that instinct. Create an environment that reflects the clarity you now carry. Archangel Michael's assignment over your home was both shield and signal. A shield against interference. A signal that you are stepping into greater alignment. The sword drawn was not only for defense. It was for declaration that you are not easily accessed. Carry that understanding forward. Do not minimize what occurred. Do not downplay the significance of a prevented outcome. Prevention is often invisible, but its impact is massive. The fact that nothing dramatic happened is proof that something dramatic was stopped. That realization should increase your gratitude. Gratitude strengthens discernment. When you appreciate protection, you value alignment. As you move into the days ahead, expect subtle confirmation that this was a turning point. You may receive unexpected favor. A delayed answer may arrive. A conversation may shift in your favor. These are signs that obstruction has been cleared. Walk forward without hesitation. The season of feeling watched has ended. The season of stepping forward has begun. And what remains now is the final unveiling of why this entire sequence was labeled urgent from the beginning. The deeper purpose behind this warning is about to surface fully, and when it does, you will see that this was never about fear. It was about preparation for elevation at a level you have not yet imagined. Beloved, this is the final unveiling. What began as a warning has now revealed its true purpose. Someone is watching your house was never meant to leave you in fear. It was meant to wake you into awareness. It was meant to interrupt complacency. It was meant to position you before promotion. And now you can see it clearly. Nothing shocking destroyed your peace tonight. Nothing catastrophic breached your doors. Nothing chaotic overtook your rest. Instead, what happened was far greater. Something was stopped before it could start. That is divine authority in action. Archangel Michael did not just stand guard over your house. He stood guard over your next level. Because what is coming into your life requires stability. It requires clarity. It requires maturity. And you have stepped into all three. The urgency in the beginning was real. The warning was necessary. But it was necessary because acceleration was near. When elevation approaches, heaven secures the foundation. When expansion is imminent, the perimeter is reinforced. You were not being hunted. You were being prepared. There is something powerful attached to your home. It may not look extraordinary to others, but spiritually, it carries weight. Decisions made there will influence outcomes. Prayers spoken there will produce fruit. Plans formed there will shift direction. And because of that, it had to be guarded. The watcher did not understand the depth of your covering. The tension did not understand the strength of your alignment. The subtle pressure did not understand the authority assigned to your name. But now you understand. And that understanding changes everything. You will not move forward timidly anymore. You will not question every shift in the atmosphere. You will not shrink when you sense growth approaching. You have seen what divine interruption looks like. You have experienced what prevention feels like. This was your training ground. The final warning was actually a final refinement. Refinement of your awareness. Refinement of your response. Refinement of your authority. As you step into the days ahead, remember this night not as a moment of fear, but as a marker of elevation. This was the night you realized you are covered. The night you recognized that heaven intervenes before impact. The night you understood that when God says, "Open this immediately," it is because timing matters. And you responded in time. Archangel Michael's assignment over your house has shifted from active defense to sustained covering. The sword that was drawn remains ready, but peace now reigns inside your walls. What was meant to intimidate you has strengthened you. What was meant to distract you has focused you. This is the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. Do not look back searching for who was watching. Look forward to what is unfolding. Doors will open. Clarity will increase. Favor will expand. And your house will become a place of stability for more than just you. Before this message seals completely, declare your agreement. Type "My house is covered" and called in the comments if you receive this. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your home. This number represents divine alignment and forward movement. As you declare it, you are stepping into the next level secured for you. And now hear this as a continuation of everything you have just experienced. Tonight proved that warnings can save, that alignment can shield, and that obedience can redirect outcomes. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are helping sound the alarm before midnight for someone else. The Lord says, I appoint you as a watchman on the wall. That is not history. That is a living commission. Every seed you release becomes oil in the lamp of that watchtower. Every act of generosity becomes light in someone's dark hour. I believe some of you feel the stirring right now, the quiet conviction that says, I am called to keep this fire burning. Do not ignore that holy nudge. So, as a prophetic act of agreement, join the membership as a covenant of alignment. Release your super thanks as a declaration that heaven's warnings must continue reaching homes in time. Use the PayPal link below and plant your seed with intention. As you give, may your house overflow with provision. May your gates remain guarded. May your next season accelerate without resistance. Step into obedience now.